Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're taking a look back at the ASAP Science channel, now rebranded simply as Greg and Mitch. Well, Greg and Bitch are two gay Canadians who are here to tell the world what's in their video's title, why you shouldn't have kids. Let's check it out.
It's no one's place to tell you whether or not you should have a kid or not, but a lot of people seem to act as though you'll be completely unfulfilled unless you have children.
I wouldn't say completely unfulfilled. I would say your fulfillment levels are just going to be on a drastically lower scale. People can be fulfilled by their own lives, their partners, their family and friends, but nothing brings fulfillment and meaning to life more than creating another life.
So if, like us, your family and friends are always pestering about when you're gonna have a kid and you're like, better not, here's some scientific evidence as to why you probably shouldn't have a kid.
And we can already see the confirmation bias coming around the corner here like a freight train. Choo choo. Look, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. These gay guys don't want to have kids, probably ever. So in order to cope and make themselves feel better, they went out on the internet to find science, which will confirm their biases. Pretty much the textbook definition of confirmation bias, actually, with a little liberal spin in there. That little move where they say everything they believe is science. Throw that in there for good measure, and look what we've got here. Another classic regressive video.
Perhaps your relationship is in a rut and you think that kids might bring you closer together. Statistically, it will absolutely not. Research shows that marital satisfaction plummets after your first child, and 70% of couples experience a big slump in their love life. This is often due to clashing ideas of how to raise your child, along with sleeplessness.
Okay, so it's hard to raise a kid. It takes a lot of time and sleep away from the couples in their first year. I think that's what you're saying here, Greg and Mitch, but I'm gonna have to ask, what's your point? I mean, we all know that it's hard to raise kids. Anyone with some common sense knows the first year is gonna bring some new routines and stresses to a couple, for sure. But I don't think that means having a kid will not bring a couple closer together. I believe that was your claim, right?
Perhaps your relationship is in a rut and you think that kids might bring you closer together. Statistically, it will absolutely not.
Okay, and that science you back that up with is lowered satisfaction within the couple, and you cite 70% of couples saying they had a big slump in their love lives, which means they had less sex, okay? Let's not beat around the literal bush. The thing here is, lowered couple satisfaction and less sex doesn't necessarily mean the kid isn't bringing the couple closer together. In fact, I think it could mean the opposite. Having a kid pushes a couple beyond the selfish, everything is about us phase, and it moves them into the we're a family who has to work together and make sacrifices phase. These gay dudes are just making these claims off their false assumptions and to support their biases. These queens don't see how raising a kid with your partner will certainly bring you two closer together. And just because they might have less sex in the baby's first year doesn't mean the couple's not getting closer. And before we move on from this silly point of theirs, I want to stress, I'm not here to suggest couples should have kids to try and keep it together or anything. I'm just saying that having a kid with anyone will indeed bring you closer together, especially in a relationship.
So yes, your kids will ruin your sleep. So in the first 2 years of your baby's life, survey data has found that you will lose 6 months of sleep, and you will only receive about 2.5 hours of continuous sleep each night.
Nothing's more selfish here than worrying about your sleep, but hey, we do need our 5 or 6 hours a night. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see this thing as a very strong argument against bringing a life into the world, raising your heir, your namesake, your ancestors' lineage. I mean, if anything is a good excuse to lose some sleep, I think it's raising your goddamn kids. Funny enough, these gay dudes are the same kinds of people who will stay up all night for work, or go out clubbing till 4 a.m. every weekend. But God forbid your flesh and blood needs you to stay up past midnight. Fucking pathetic.
And too little sleep can lead to a myriad of health problems, such as slower reflexes, increased mental health issues, weakened immune system, heart disease, premature death, or the large life complication of being grumpy as fuck.
Or sleep deprivation could lead to herpes, or cancer, or the moon could split in half and crash into the ocean, causing a tsunami over North America. Shit, I heard if you miss too much sleep too many nights because of your kid, your dick could just fall right off. Be careful, guys.
It'll also cut into your wallet. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, if you're a woman with a child, you make 3% less than a woman that is childless.
Mothers make 3% less than childless women. Very interesting tidbit you got there, bro. I mean, the actual statistic isn't all that interesting. 3% is hardly even worth mentioning, to be honest, and it's perfectly justifiable. Childless women have more time to work. So no, what's actually interesting here is that you even chose to bring this 3% up. Sounds to me like you're trying to make a little wage gap argument here, and we all know how those go. No, I would say this kind of message is a dog whistle to me. Saying shit like this shows me how liberal and regressive this gay and Mitch shit really is.
However, this is not true of men who make an additional 15% if they have kids compared to those without. It has nothing to do with how hard you work, how many hours you work, or the job you have, but the double standard idea that men are breadwinners and women are caregivers.
And now you're using your opinion and stating it as a scientific fact? Pretty classic move for liberals. And also a common play by Greg and Mitch, too. Maybe that's why they changed the name of this channel from ASAP Science. ASAP Science, more like ASAP Pseudoscience. Greg and Mitch was probably a better choice. You see, there's no way he can know this.
Men who make an additional 15% if they have kids compared to those without. It has nothing to do with how hard you work, how many hours you work, or the job you have.
That 15% more men make could very much have to do with how hard they work, or for how long. In fact, it certainly does. This loser is just assuming it's because of some breadwinner's caregiver stereotypes, which you can't even prove, even though Greg and Mitch here of course like to act like this is a fact, based on science. I can't fucking stand these wannabe smart guy types. Your opinions aren't fucking science, dude. Just because you believe in something and find a related statistic doesn't mean you can assume your assumption was now proven. It doesn't work like that.
Employers see fathers as committed and stable, whereas they see mothers as flaky and distractible.
Well, why do you think people see parents that way? Why do you think all these stereotypes came to be? Do you think people are just making this shit up? No. Stereotypes come from truths. All of them do. And I'm not saying it's true here exactly, but this Gregor Mitch guy, I don't know who the fuck is who, but they both need to get a clue and stop assuming every disparity between men and women is because of unfair stereotypes. Maybe, just maybe, men get paid more because they fucking deserve it.
Another more obvious one is that kids are expensive.
What's that voice about, dude? God damn, you're so white and painfully unfunny.
In the US of A, in 2015, on average, a baby would cost you $13,000 per year. That means by the time this child is 17, it will have cost you $233,000.
We all know kids are expensive though, yet we still have them. And do Canadians even have to pay for their kids? I thought you guys were like communists or some shit over there.
And that does not include the amount of money going towards post-secondary education. Obviously, this average cost can vary, especially if your kid is throwing a fit on the friggin' floor for the sweet cereal, and you know what? To shut him up, you're gonna buy it. It's gonna cost you more, okay?
I can see why this guy doesn't want kids. You crazy, bro.
But kids bring so much joy into our lives, right? Well, sometimes. Research does show that if you wanted to have kids and have them, your life satisfaction can increase, but no more than people who are childless by their own choice.
Jesus, I could barely understand these guys sometimes. They say things so manipulative and confusing, even I have trouble keeping up. So let me get this straight. He's saying if you want to have kids and you do, your life happiness can increase, but no more than people who are childless by choice. And then he shows this picture of drinks, which just confuses me more. What's bringing joy to the childless couples? Drinks and partying, I guess? Look, I don't think there's anything wrong with not having kids, but you really gotta ignore a lot to say that childless couples have a family life on par with someone with 1 or 2 or 3 kids. And then it's just not their kids, it's their kids' and their partners. You're talking about a big family unit versus like 2 people who are alone and solo. Just seems weird the way this guy compares them. You can really tell he's trying to justify this to himself as much as he is to his audience.
So a smaller family, or no kids at all, can help the threats of overpopulation, such as mass starvations. Think about it from your carbon footprint. 1 kid in America is the equivalent of 106 kids in Haiti when it comes to how much carbon dioxide is produced in their life. So if you're trying to go green, you could go vegan, you could ditch your car, you could stop flying everywhere, or you could just not have a kid.
Another on the list of these boring wannabe reasons not to have kids. Not having kids is fucking green now, huh? That's rich. Although I do recommend gays like Greg and Mitch and other vegans worried about saving the animals and the planet and the world, please don't have kids. I beg of you. You'd be doing all of us a big favor. We really don't need any more liberal retards like this to have kids anyway. So I say, in a way, and I guess I'm rhyming today, this Greg and Mitch video had a pretty good message. I would just change the title to Why Liberals Shouldn't Have Kids. And you could shorten the video to just say, because they're cancer. In the end, these weren't really that good of reasons not to have kids. Especially not if you really wanted them to begin with, like I do. Losing sleep and costing loads of money and having less sex the first year may sound like great reasons not to have kids, if you already don't really want them. But if you do, these seem like small prices to pay to bring your offspring into the world. This white genocide ain't gonna cure itself, people. We need to start procreating. We need more smart, white, conservative children now more than ever. I say breed, America. Breed! Before the Muslims or Mexicans take us over. I mean, that is worth noting. I was half kidding, but this whole thing does go in line with the anti-Western culture rhetoric the left and the liberals and George Soros and the globalists all like to preach. They want to depopulate the local white people while importing thousands of liberal supporting immigrants. Pretty much the Democratic strategy here for the last 3 decades. I mean, I only see this anti-children shit being pushed in majority white countries, not in Africa or Haiti. And funny enough, Greg and Mitch cite US dollars and clearly appear to be speaking to an American-centered audience, even though they're dirty fucking Canadians. Goddamn maple syrup syrup drinking scum trying to lower the number of whites while simultaneously promoting black or brown immigration constantly? It's pretty clear what their goals are. What do you guys think? Why is it these two homosexuals are trying to convince white people not to have kids? Are Greg and Mitch's reasons very scientific? And who do you think is the top and who is the bottom? Comment below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Also, quick announcement. I've posted my first face reveal as promised. There are pics of me and my girlfriend up on our Patreon page. Link below if you want to go check it out. We want to thank you guys so much for helping support the show and reaching our first Patreon milestone. Hopefully we can keep growing and we can get to that No Bullshit movie by the end of the year. Thanks again for watching and supporting. See y'all next time.
I let it go back to when we played as kids, but then changed. And that's the way it is. Come on. Come on.
That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same.
One more thing, I want to give a special thanks to these amazing Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. You guys went above and beyond the rest, and I love you so much for it. If anyone else wants to donate or join our Patreon crew, link in the description. Thanks again.
And I'd love to see that. So I love you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!